Hey, everybody, welcome again to Open World Chat. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, John Odom. I'm here with Mark Card. As per usual, Mark, what's up?
Yes, we're here to enrich and annoy you.
Maybe in that order?
Possibly.
Yeah, it depends on how long the show is. It'll be enrich and annoy if it's a long show, and maybe just annoy and enrich if it's the other. We'll see. We do like the long shows. But anyway, today we're going to look at not again, whenever time we have a list of something, we're not claiming that these are the best because there's a whole vast reservoir of
Oh,
literature, movies, films out there. We can't watch it all, but we're going to look at our favorite sociopaths.
plus, I mean, you can't really define what best is. For me, it changes all the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I just think it's too fluid a thing to, be able to label it that way.
That's right. That's right. So we don't know the best nothing. We don't claim to know the best nothing, but we do know when we see it the worst, just so that's on record.
That's easy to figure out. Yeah.
But anyways, our favorite sociopaths. Now we had a hard time with the definition, the distinction between sociopath and psychopath here. We should get full disclosure on that. It seemed like depending on who you looked at, what you consulted, either the difference was marginal or there was no difference at all and the terms were interchangeable. I don't know. You looked into this a little more than I did, Mark, I think.
I just feel like you have to go with the American Psychological Association. Um, Psychopath and sociopath are not actual things listed in the diagnostic manual. And when you look at that definition, it says a psychopath and a sociopath both fall under the same uh, ailment, and that is um, AP. What do they call it? I think it's APSD. It's ASPD, antisocial personality disorder.
Hmm.
It's important to understand that uh, when uh, psychiatrists and psychologists talk about antisocial, they don't, that has a very specific meaning. That means tendency to commit criminal acts. Antisocial doesn't mean you just don't like people.
Mhm.
So to me, and I am not an expert. I will not claim to be an expert, but my limited understanding points out to me that there's very little difference between them.
Mhm.
So broadly, kind of the thing I thought we should judge it by is, and this gets very subtle, it's very technical, but I think the best way to describe it is that it used to be thought that sociopaths did not experience emotion at all, um, so they had no empathy. But I think the more nuanced version of it is that sociopaths recognize emotion in themselves, but not in other people.
Or
So
validate it. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
other people don't really count because you cannot empathize with them at all.
Mhm.
All right, I want to start out because I want to talk about one of the earliest ones I can think of.
Okay.
Dr. Dr. Frankenstein.
I thought about him. I thought
He
about him.
is,
Go ahead and talk to me about him because I stayed away from him for some different reasons that I think really are going to reflect the different ways that we approach this. So tell me about Dr. Frankenstein.
well, Dr. Frankenstein is completely obsessed with what he wants to do, regardless of the consequences.
Hmm.
He has no empathy for anybody who's a victim of what he does. He has no empathy for his own creation. Basically, just says, "Oh yeah, I created you. Now you're on your own. No guidance, no help, no direction." And he's literally Prometheus in terms of, uh, well, no, Prometheus actually cared about other humans.
Yeah.
He wanted to bring them out of this kind of barbarism without fire. And so he was thinking of other people. Dr. Frankenstein is obsessed, self-absorbed, narcissistic, and essentially blasphemous because he gets off on the idea that he's superior to everyone else because he is the only other person besides God who's created life.
Right.
And so I think he's textbook sociopath. I think that's what makes the monster so angry
I think,
because
yeah.
he's the victim of this sociopathy.
Hmm.
And so, when you're treated like that, it's hard for you to have empathy too. So I just think he's a classic sociopath. He does not care about the conventions of society. He does not care about the results of his actions. He does not even ponder the unintended consequences of his actions. He cannot. It's not that he cannot. He chooses not to examine what might happen to other people based on how he behaves. And that's classic sociopath. For me, I just think it's one of those things that, well, and this one just kind of came to me when I was piling through other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, he's an
And
archetype of the sort of cold, unfeeling, inhuman science sort of
yeah,
box.
yeah. And he's also kind of, it's that dispassionate kind of demeanor. And real scientists are accused of this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
They're accused of being unable to relate to other people. And, if you think about people like, and I think it could be argued that a comedy character is a sociopath until he meets another one, and that's Sheldon Cooper.
Oh, that's
I think
funny.
Sheldon Cooper is pretty much a sociopath till he meets Penny, and
Yeah.
Penny just completely rejects the idea that he could be like that and convinces him to start looking at other people as valuable,
Hmm.
but in general, as intrinsically valuable. I think it's important to understand that psychopaths don't necessarily think that people are not, or sociopaths are not useful,
Useful. That's a
are
good word.
completely
Yeah.
worthless,
Hmm.
but they are useful in the only way they can be for somebody who's a sociopath to achieve their goals.
Right.
And once they have been used to achieve their goals, nobody cares about them anymore.
Right.
They're discarded. And I really think Sheldon Cooper's a good example of one, at least at the beginning of the show. He doesn't care about anybody.
That's really funny. I think
Yeah,
I
I mean
think
he,
you're
he just
right.
kind of is. And this is important to understand. When you read the psychological literature, um, they understand that not all sociopaths are bad for society. Not all sociopaths are going to bring ruin, physical and otherwise, to everyone around them.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'll give you a good example of this later that I'm talking the once we get into the discussion more. I feel like I'm talking too much, but
Yeah.
I think Dr. Frankenstein is a perfect example of this.
Yeah. He the only reason I didn't put on my list, I went for such purity because I started thinking of it, and Frankenstein was one of the first ones who jumped to my mind. But I decided since he seemed to have genuine, arguably genuine, could have been about use and personal psychological dependence,
Right.
but his genuine feelings for Elizabeth made me back off from him just a little bit. But I was on the edge, and I just had a few others that I thought were not edge cases. So I just otherwise, yeah, he was the first one or one of the first ones that came to mind.
Yeah. I hadn't really considered that, but it's just one of those things where when it comes to the creation of the monster, he even disregarded what she wanted.
There's a whole category of the soulless sociopathic corporate type that's especially prominent in sci-fi. I could go through a million of them.
There are a whole lot of CEOs the people who start companies who exhibit this kind of sociopathy. They're single-minded. They're not concerned about the effects on others, but they achieve great things as a result of it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about somebody that's going to be controversial pretty soon, and it hasn't really been that controversial much at all. But I'm going to tell you that James Bond is one of the worst sociopaths in fiction.
Interesting.
He
Continue.
is
I want to know.
terrible. Well, uh, one of the things that sociopaths can't do well is they can't form romantic relationships.
Yeah, or very good relationships with anyone.
And Bond has no relationships with anybody. He's a lone wolf. Um, you know, even with Moneypenny, he's superficial with her
Oh yeah.
and completely uh, treats her just as somebody who's useful to him. And he keeps her happy by, you know, suggesting possibility of romance. But I mean, and especially if you look in the books, he makes terrible decisions for other people, but he gets the job done. I mean, people die in his wake, people have their lives ruined. You know, James Bond is a big time sociopath,
Hmm.
and you might argue that to be a spy, and again, we're getting to this thing: do we need these people? You can't really think about anybody but yourself, because if you can, you know, well, maybe not a spy, but I mean, he's kind of seen mostly as an assassin. You know, they don't send him out there to try and get information or get someone else to give the government information. He goes out there to, you know, stop madmen and kill them.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's terrible sociopath. And you know, I don't remember. I think it was the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie where Javier Bardem is the villain.
Hmm.
And you know why he's the villain, right? Because James Bond abandons him. He's a spy, and James Bond abandons him, and he gets caught, captured, and tortured.
Hmm. Right.
And
I do remember that. Yeah.
so he's a victim of James Bond here and turns into one of James Bond's biggest supervillains, specifically because James Bond was a sociopath.
Hmm.
So, you know, people look at him as cool and aloof, and for these reasons, he'd make a terrible spy.
Yeah.
One of the things you have to do if you're a spy is people don't understand this. If you are a case officer for the CIA, it's not your job to get the information. It's your job to convince other people to betray their own countries to give you information.
Hmm.
And to do that effectively, you have to be really good at empathizing with other people.
Hmm.
And so James Bond, I think, would be a terrible spy in real life.
No, I think you're right. And it's interesting that you went to what was the movie Spectre with him
Yeah. Yeah.
because you could blame a lot of the earlier stuff on just being a shallow character, just being
Right.
written thin. I mean, I enjoy James Bond movies, but I'm not going to put any credence to any notion that he was any kind of real character with any kind of real depth at all until the Daniel Craig ones. And
Yeah.
then they started trying to write him as a fully fleshed character. So it's interesting that you pick out one where he has been written as a real character. And
Right.
so the argument that you make has a lot more oomph to it.
Well, you know, the major thing with sociopaths as characters is consequences have actions, and they just don't see those.
Hmm.
And the reason why they don't see them is they have no empathy for other people. They can't recognize the emotions they feel in other people. So why would you pay attention to it?
Hmm.
If you can't see if you're hurting somebody or can't see if you're making somebody sad, who cares what you do?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a lot of these characters are just uh, they're just difficult to perceive
Hmm.
because, I mean, the thing is that I think the reason why we see these people as such monsters is we don't have any real way of thinking like they do.
So mine that I picked from that world,
Yeah.
from the sort of government, I don't know, a more effective one. I don't think, I think
Hmm.
she fits the bill in terms of being effective at what she's trying to do. And she's in a different, she's not a secret agent, but she's in that sort of government intelligence
Right.
evil stereotype is Amanda Waller from the comics, from Suicide Squad,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
Broader from DC. She, of course, the Argus, the Advanced Research Group Un Uniting Superhumans. Right. I
Right.
think that's it. Task Force X, Suicide Squad. She pops up. It's a military intelligence, metahuman oversight. And I mean, she's popped up in various forms in cartoons and various different comics and the DC reboots. But every time she's this very cold, means to an end, and the means she'll name is we is controlling metahumans, is having their own metahuman squad that can counter groups like supervillain groups, or even potentially some group like the Justice League. But it never feels very deep. It never feels like much of a real ethic. She's just mission driven, whatever the mission is, and she doesn't really give a shit the right or wrong of it at all. And she certainly doesn't care whose lives she runs over in the process,
Yeah.
uh,
Even if they're good guys.
even if they're good guys. And I mean the movies do a decent job of showing her. I think she's more interesting if you're going to look in media outside the comics. She's more interesting. The brief we see her in the DC animated stuff that we got in
Right.
the early 2000s. But she's a good example, I think, of that sort of soulless government archetype that has no sense of right and wrong, no interest in right and wrong, no interest in people other than being a means to an end, and maybe some lip service paid to how we have to have this because it's good and it's important and we're protecting people and protecting society, but not really. Just it's just
Well,
about individual power and control and
well,
anyway,
it's
so I like her as one.
yeah. It's oh no, I think she works great, and I think there's an interesting kind of thing going on here. One of the things that one of the criticisms people have with this kind of government official is that they're from the bureaucracy.
Hmm.
And bureaucracy is about standard operating procedures and no, kind of rigid thinking is what's expected. And that's just kind of, it's that detachment from other people. You're sitting in your office building and you're making decisions about other people's lives without really paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting that, that's what people don't like about the bureaucracy. It's their nameless, faceless procedures that they, change people's lives without regard to special circumstances or, whatever's going on for that individual case. So here's what's interesting to me. As I was going through and doing this research, there were some characters that I would look up and think, and I would just kind of ask the internet in general. I would Google, I said, is character X a sociopath? Is character Y a sociopath?
Hmm.
To see if my thinking matched what Google would come up with. And some of them that I thought of, they would say, "Oh no, she's not sociopath. and here's why XYZ." And so the example I want to give you where I thought it might be a sociopath, she might be a sociopath, but it turns out she isn't, was Faith from Buffy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, especially at the end. She's definitely on the side of the angels.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about when she's working for the mayor and the whole evil character arc in season 3, right?
Well, that's certainly arguable. She also could have just had daddy issues of some kind that we didn't see.
Well, one of the things that they talked about was in this explanation is that um, she clearly had a relationship with the mayor.
Yeah.
And so she cared about the mayor, and the mayor cared about her, so she couldn't be that way. And one of the things they said is that if you're expressing this kind of behavior because of trauma, that doesn't make you a sociopath. And I don't think that's true. I disagree with that because if you look at everybody who ended up being one of these famous serial killers, Edmund Kemper, Ted Bundy, all these people, one of the things that the violent criminal apprehension project, which is what the profiler stuff came out of in the late 60s at the FBI, was they were trying to solve the question, are serial killers made or born?
Right.
And what they really found, um, not 100%, but pretty close, is that you become a serial killer in general, it's going to be white males, and they're going to follow a specific pattern. In most cases, they will have a domineering mother and an absent or weak and ineffectual father. And so my question is, I mean, that's clearly trauma.
Yeah.
If you've got, look at a guy like Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper was a serial killer. He was 6'8" and 320 pounds. He killed his grandparents when he was young. They put him in a mental institution, and he was so smart, he convinced his doctors he was cured
Hmm.
and was out by the time he was 16 or 17. And one of the things they found was that his mother was constantly berating him, constantly comparing him to other people, constantly talking about how, belittling him and emasculating him. And when he starts again, he starts by killing his mother. Well, no, that's when he gets caught. He kills his mother. But
Hmm.
so there's a very specific set of trauma circumstances that creates these kinds of serial killer, these murderers. And so it just makes me wonder if trauma isn't part of that. But I thought it was interesting that Google was saying, "Oh no, this character X or Y can't possibly be a a sociopath because they had PTSD
Hmm.
and they were recovering from trauma."
Great.
And I was
Oh,
just
that makes
thinking,
sense.
is that true in all cases? Because it seems to me like that kind of trauma can often cause people to behave that way.
It could
Cause
also
people.
it could also cause you to be a drug-addled rock star if you're on a Pink Floyd album.
That's true. So, one of the ones I want to talk about is kind of a classic serial killer, which I think is interesting because it's such a good example. And plus, I want to talk about his origin, and that's Anton Chigurh from uh, No Country for Old Men.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah, I
guy
thought
has
about him.
that guy has no concern for anybody
Yeah,
and will
thought
do
about that.
whatever it takes to kill his mark. And he will just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming until you're dead or he's dead.
Yeah.
And he takes pleasure in toying with his victims.
Yeah, which is the only reason I didn't put him on there, by the way,
Oh
is
yeah,
that
because
he
because
seems to take some pleasure in it.
yeah. But I like the origin of his character. The director said he wanted Anton Chigurh to reflect a video game character. Do you know this story?
No.
So, do you remember the old game from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s called Berserk?
Yeah.
Well, what was the one thing that kept you from getting super high scores on Berserk?
Are you thinking Evil Otto?
Yes. I'm not thinking Evil Otto. That's what the director said. He said when I sat down and looked at this character in the script, I thought we're going to make a human Evil Otto. So that's who Anton Chigurh is.
That's hilarious. I
You
love
can't
that.
beat him. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter what you try and do. For those of you who are too young to know this character, there was a video game called Berserk where you had to go through a maze to kill somebody. And at every level, it got harder and harder for you to get through the maze to kill your victim. Well, once you got to a certain level, in would come this bouncing smiley face that would
Yeah.
cut entirely through the maze and kill you.
If you took too long at any level, you had to move quickly or Evil Otto would show up.
And you could do nothing to stop Evil Otto. You could not get away from Evil Otto. If you took too long to hit your mark, you got hit. And it was very frustrating because you get really close to the high score and then bang, Evil
Yeah, and
Otto
you're
would come
trying
in
to
and kill
run
you.
around him to get the last guy. It's like, oh crap, I can just a little bit more.
And he would not they won't let you. I mean, it's programmed into the game. If Evil Otto shows up, you're losing a life in that level. That's just the way it is. And so that was kind of what they wanted Anton Chigurh to be, that if he shows up, you're dead. If he shows up,
Evil
it
Otto.
doesn't matter what you do to get away from him. This stupid smiley face is gonna bounce through your maze and kill you.
I haven't thought about Evil Otto in a long time. That's great. If we accomplish nothing else this whole episode, you've made me think of Evil Otto. That's great.
Yeah, boy, that's back in the days of early video games when uh, they made it difficult to win anything. Leveling up was very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And so you would just play and 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 play. And every stinking time when you thought you were getting good at it, Evil Otto would come in and kill you.
Now, was that the also stop the humanoid must not escape one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the voiceover that would happen when
Uh,
Evil Otto
humanoid.
showed up. And it was like a Cylon robot voice.
Yeah, totally.
So
Oh,
yeah, I mean, but this is a classic serial killing uh, sociopath.
yeah.
He's not interested in anything but getting his mission done. He doesn't care what the consequences are for him or for anybody else around him. He doesn't care about property damage. He doesn't care about killing innocent bystanders. He doesn't worry about law enforcement. His job is to go and kill and move on. Go and
That's
kill
right.
and
That's
move
right.
on.
And he had a name, so he was a character. He wasn't just like the big bouncing beach balls in The Prisoner that get you if you're trying to run away. He was Evil Otto. He had a smile on his face.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was there, and if he showed up, you were dead. There was nothing you could do to get around him.
I
So
got away from him a few times, but never for
yeah,
very long.
well, on that level. But the thing about Evil Otto is if you escaped him on a level, he would come back every level to kill you until you were dead.
Right.
So it was one of those things that just kept you putting coins in that damn machine because you just kept saying, okay, I'll get away from him this time. Okay, I got the guy. Now I'm going to move on to the next level. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It was part of the algorithm in those early games that made you come back and spend quarter after quarter after quarter after
Quarter
quarter
after
after quarter
quarter.
after quarter.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was smart enough to just stop doing that. I was like,
I
yeah,
just ran out of money.
yeah. Well, that's part of this. That's part of what happened. You ran out of money a few times, and then you were like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep doing this. So,
Yeah.
all right, that's my Anton Chigurh story. What's your next one?
Since you brought up the idea of talking to the internet, I talked to ChatGPT. I put down a few of the names, particularly a couple of the names I haven't mentioned yet. And I'm like, give me some other sociopaths here because I was having trouble. So I admit it. I reached out to the internet to help out. And you know what it came up with? I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Of course. Amy Dunn in Gone Girl
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
movie, Rosamund Pike. Rosamund Pike. That is a great, great sociopathic character. You've seen that, right?
Oh, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, you don't realize how much of a sociopath she just seems like she's a femme fatale until the last sequence of the film.
Well, the very last sequence is,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Then you realize, holy crap, you have underestimated her the entire movie.
yeah, I don't even want to talk about what that is because if you haven't seen that movie, you really
Oh no,
don't
we're not
want
going to
any
spoil
of it
that movie. Hell
spoiled to
no.
you. Yeah, but she's great. I mean, she's a serious schemer with no regard for right and wrong at any level. She's just interested in her own situation and well, anyways. See, I bring up a character I don't want to talk about. This is bad because we're here to talk about these characters. And another thing, as soon as it's out of my mouth, it's like, I don't want to talk about this character. I don't want to wreck this character because it's like twisty and stuff. I should have picked a different movie to focus on. I assume I mean, it was based on a book, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it is. It's based on a book. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it did not seem like a movie story. It seemed like a book story, so I assumed it was.
No, it
Uh,
definitely is.
all right, so forget, I don't even want to talk about her. Forget I mentioned, but that's a
Okay.
great movie. It's a great movie. And I need to watch it again myself. But I think she is a absolutely classic type of sociopath. Yeah,
Oh, no regard for anybody else in our life.
no regard. But also, like a lot of these sociopaths, very, very smart.
Oh, yeah.
Very, clever, very good at manipulating people. So, and it's interesting because these characters have no empathy, but they're also very good at manipulating people anyways. And you would think that empathy is required to manipulate people, but you can do it with an intellectual understanding of emotion, I think is what you'll see in a lot of these sociopaths, rather than the true, empathic feeling of emotion in other people. You know how emotion works. Maybe you know it even more intimately because it's you know, something you can almost study. I mean, you can look at people like rats in the maze and you know how they're going to react. You know how to elicit certain responses from people or from the media. I don't want to, that really work to meet your own needs or ends or what you see as your needs. And that's what she does. Great flick. Anyways, now that I bring it up, I'm not going to talk about it.
Bring her up later at the end of the conversation because I have an observation about it, but
Okay.
otherwise, bring it up till the end. Let's talk about a movie, an Austrian movie, and they did a remake with American actors and stuff, but you've got to see the Austrian movie. It's a movie called Funny Games. Have you
Mm-mm.
seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. We got to find out if it's streaming anywhere so you can see it, and it would be worth renting it. Hold on.
Oh, you're searching.
Yeah, I'm searching. Hold on.
Okay.
It's from
This is where we would
1997.
have our product placement if or our
It's
search.
from 1997. And what happens is it starts out as just kind of this, there's a family, it's a man and woman and a son, and they are at their vacation home on some lake in Austria. And um, they see a young man as they're driving in, they see a young man that they don't recognize at the door of one of their neighbors. And they don't really kind of, give it any thought. And then the next day, there's a knock on the door, and it's the same young man, and is he actually with somebody else? And oh, by the way, I'm going to spoil this movie.
You are. All right.
Yeah,
I should have spoiled Gone Girl, but I'm not going to. But
I'm
anyways,
going
go
to
ahead.
spoil
No.
this movie because trust me, even when I tell you what happens in the movie, it's not going to ruin the movie. It's really not. Um, so essentially, what happens is these two boys walk into the house and they ask if they can borrow some eggs. And they go in and they just start throwing eggs on the floor. And the guy comes in and he says, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I don't know. I just wanted to see if they were hard boiled or something." And that's the end of it. And then he asks to see a golf club because there's a golf course. And so the guy brings out his driver, and one of the boys smashes the dad's leg with the driver.
Yeesh.
And they make a bet, the two boys do, that the family's going to be dead by 9 a.m. in the morning, by 9 a.m.
Hmm.
And then essentially what happens is these kids begin to play funny games with each other by torturing and hurting everybody in the family.
Hmm.
And They don't care what happens to any of the family. They put them through all of these really difficult problems and situations, but they're not like getting any satisfaction out of it. They're just doing it because they can do it. Long story short, uh, in the middle of the movie, well, I won't spoil that part. But anyway, what happens at the end is, yeah, they shoot the dad. They take the wife out onto the boat the next morning, and they tie her up and they push her in the lake. And then the one guy who made the bet says, "What time is it?" And they check their watches, and it's before 9 a.m., so he gives them money. And then it cuts to a new scene, and it shows the guys knocking on the next door. And what is so frustrating about this movie is you keep thinking, that's not what would happen. That's not what would happen. People wouldn't react this way. Like the dad never tries to, in most movies, I just thought of a really good sociopath to mention also, and I'll do that after this one. But most movies, if a guy comes in and whacks the dad in the leg with the golf club,
Mhm.
the dad's constantly looking for a way to kill the guy. And that's not what happens at all in this movie. The dad
Mhm.
is like whining and whimpering, and he's in pain all the time, and he can't really do anything, and he's just kind of a weak character. And so they do all these really weird things in the movie, and it's just to entertain themselves.
Wow.
They're just bored and they want to be entertaining. I mean, they want to be entertained. It's just what the French would call ennui. It's just a general boredom with life. And so you do all kinds of stupid things to avoid that boredom. But the
Well,
two
that,
characters,
that
it,
makes me think of A Clockwork Orange in a sense.
mhm.
Um,
It's like
so,
that too. But the problem is with the Clockwork Orange, Alex begins to empathize with other people.
well, because he's forced to.
Right. But he still does
Mhm.
it.
Well, that's true.
And so, they use a medical treatment to make him realize what he's done to other people.
Hmm.
And then, of course, once they throw him out the window again, he decides he's going to go back to ultraviolence.
Right.
But this movie is shocking because you just keep thinking, no, that's not what's going to happen next. That isn't what happens next.
Hmm.
And it's just these two boys amusing themselves because they're bored. And
I
a whole
feel like
family ends
I've
up
heard of this movie. This is
tortured and
ringing
dead.
crazy
Well,
bells.
yeah, they made another version of it with Naomi Watts in it and what's his name, Eli Roth,
Huh.
and it's the same actors who play the boys in that movie.
Hmm.
It's infuriating.
Really?
Yes, because you don't see how anyone could behave this way. But they are textbook sociopaths. They don't care that they just broke this dad's leg. They don't care that they're going to shoot somebody else in the movie. They don't care that these people are just writhing in pain and frustration. Excuse me.
Mhm.
And you just can't see how things keep going their way. You're used to movies like the other movie that I want to talk about is a sociopath in this regard. The kind of serial killer sociopath is the original movie, The Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
And Krug, the leader of the gang there, he's a total sociopath.
Yeah.
I mean, he orders somebody to torture one of the girls with a knife just because he thinks it's fun.
Yeah.
He orders other people in his gang to do things which are really dangerous, like go out and try to kill her on her own.
Hmm.
And in a movie like that, which, by the way, if you guys don't know this, that movie, The Last House on the Left, which is the movie that made Wes Craven's uh, reputation in horror films.
I was Wes Craven?
Yeah, that's his first movie
Oh,
from 1971.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's Wes Craven's first movie. It's what made him a horror film god.
Huh. Okay.
But the crazier thing is this. So when uh you went to Berea freshman year, didn't you?
Yeah. Went there one
Okay.
year. Mhm.
Did you have to watch The Virgin Spring?
No, I don't recall that.
My freshman year, in part of that issues and values class, we watched an Ingmar, I mean a Bergman film called The Virgin Spring, based on a medieval Swedish folktale
Mhm.
about a woman who goes off to be, become a nun in a church, and she's raped and murdered along the way, halfway through the movie, and then uh, um, the law comes after them, and they seek refuge at a house on the way,
Mhm.
and it turns out to be the parents of the girl that they murdered and raped.
Right.
And then, of course, the dad, mom and dad plot to take revenge on the killers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think maybe I have seen that because it was
So
ringing bells like crazy.
the that movie, Last House on the Left, that's what it's based on. It's the horror
Okay.
movie version of that film.
Last House on the Left, Wes Craven. Why didn't I know this was Wes Craven? Actually, that movie is so awful. I think it was released unrated that I surprised he ever got the chance again
Oh,
to
it was heavily censored in the US for
yeah.
years and years and years.
Yeah.
And the only way I saw it was free on YouTube, uncensored, not cut into pieces. It was heavily edited in most cases. And it didn't show in Britain until like 2011.
Yep.
And in fact, they had a hard time finding an intact print of the film because it's so disturbing.
Yeah, yeah. And not just if you're a woman. I'm thinking of the bathtub scene.
No, it's disturbing as
Yeah.
hell. And the remake is just all about gore. You don't really get the point of the movie in the remake.
You
It's pretty
can't
bad.
remake that. You can't
Um,
make that. That was a
the
bad
remake
idea.
was 2009 or something.
Yeah, that was a terrible idea.
But yeah, it was. But the original movie is a real work of art. I mean, it's very difficult to watch. It's very disturbing. But that's the whole point of horror films.
Why didn't I know this was Wes Craven? It blows my
Well,
mind that I did not know this.
I read a whole book about it,
Huh.
about the origin of the kind of the modern movie like that. This came out around the same time as a few years later, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and
Right, right.
you kind of had the Americans start to make the Italian giallo kinds of movies, the slasher
Mhm.
movies. And but boy, Wes Craven really really set the horror world on fire.
Yeah, no, that movie's a classic. Love it or hate it, it's a
And
classic.
and and it is, I had seen dozens of horror movies by the time I saw this movie. It is shocking
Yeah.
how brutal that movie is. I mean, yeah, I grew up in Friday the 13th, and
Oh God, this is a totally different scale
no,
than
this
that.
is totally different.
Yeah,
This is really perverted, disturbed, sociopathic behavior.
yeah.
And this is a great example of that. But I just think it's great because these people talk about how this is this horrible, disgusting movie, but it's based on an Ingmar Bergman.
That's funny. Well, I'm just blown away that something so fundamental and basic about this kind of stuff I did not know. I'm lowering my head in shame
Oh
right
well, it's my autism. I go down a rabbit
now.
hole and I don't come back up
No,
until
this is basic. This is fundamental. I should have known this. I should have known this. This is fundamental. Very bad. Bad, bad, bad. All right. Anyways.
well, we can't know it all. This stuff is huge. I mean,
Yeah,
this genre stuff is really massive. So, you
it's
can't beat
true.
yourself up about this. You got another one for me?
Well, I'm wondering if it's time to talk about Tom Ripley yet. Should we
Oh
go
boy.
there? Is it Tom
Yeah, we
Ripley
can go to
time?
Tom Ripley for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got some others that I want to talk about, so you could argue that we should have saved him for last, but maybe it's time to talk about Tom Ripley.
No,
I
I got a
assume,
good one. I got a good couple ones to save for the last.
yeah, okay. Yeah, me too. But I'm assuming he was on your list because he's so classic.
No, but
Oh.
I'm not going to think about everybody. So,
Well, Tom Ripley, turns out there's been a lot of Tom Ripleys in movies. I
and
didn't,
not all of them men.
yeah. But the big one that you think about, I think more than any other, is the talented Mr. Ripley.
Hmm.
This is all based on a novel, and that was Matt Damon. And that movie had a whole bunch of other people in it. It had
Jude
Jude
Law.
Law, Gwyneth Paltrow. Who am I thinking of? The guy whose name I can never think of. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Ha!
Yeah.
I did it. I thought of his name. I'm on my game today.
Well, except
And
for the last house on the left. So,
except for the last house on the left. Um, but this is somebody who's kills. He's a killer,
mhm.
but not to do anything other than protect the life that he has stolen, essentially,
Yeah.
and has, come to enjoy. And it's his life now where, um, you know, he, um, he kills somebody and basically assumes his life
Hmm.
and kills to protect it. And I don't need to go into a whole lot of detail because I don't want us to take forever, but it's a classic means to an end. I've got this thing. I want it. I want to keep it. I got it through means that were sociopathic. I'm going to keep it through means that are sociopathic.
Yeah,
It's a
and I don't
classic.
care, and I don't care who I hurt doing it.
And I don't care who are doing it because they don't count. They don't matter. Doesn't make any difference. Even when there seems to be like a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. There isn't really a relationship.
No, he can't form real relationships.
Right, right, right.
He can't do
And
it.
I mean, in the Matt Damon movie, he's almost sympathetic because of how they go about that. But
Yeah, poor,
at the end of
poor,
the day,
poor.
no, he does not have an actual
No, no,
relationship
no.
because, yeah, he's incapable.
He's poor incel me.
Yeah.
I mean that's Ripley is an incel.
Yeah, yeah. Except it's not just about women with him.
Well, and the funny thing is, it was a lesbian who wrote the novel.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is funny. What
Well,
is
I
her
mean,
name? What
of
is the
course.
name of the writer? I'm looking it up right now. Um, Patricia Highsmith.
Yeah. I mean, she's very, very famous for writing lesbian novels that people didn't know were lesbian novels.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that it took a woman to point out this kind of incel behavior, even one who wasn't heterosexual.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, that's a good character. That's a classic, I think, in a lot of ways, a very classic style of sociopath.
Yeah, and
And
it's interesting because that's the direct that's the parent of single white female.
yes, it's true. It's true. Although in single white female, that almost seems like somebody because of the real fixation. That almost seems more like a borderline personality disorder person than
Well, keep
someone so casual about it.
well keep in mind,
Not Ripley.
there's not a lot of distance between borderline personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder.
That's true. I mean, they can wander pretty close to each other for
Yeah,
sure.
right. But yeah, I mean that's a classic example, and it's part of that is uh, Ripley is misogynistic as hell. He sees women as objects and doesn't really care about them. They're just part of this life that he enjoys,
Hmm.
and he can't make relationships with them. It's not possible.
Right.
So he desires them and loathes them at the same time.
Yeah, he's an interesting character.
Yep, he really is. Okay. Let's look at Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, interesting. As a sociopath, I can see that. Yeah. I can see him having no real moral center at all. It's just
It
about what he wants.
it
And you could,
collapses.
yeah,
It
and you could even
completely
argue,
collapses when he loses his mother and then loses Padme.
mhm.
There is no moral center anymore. He's done. Jedi disappointed him. The Emperor disappointed him. So screw everybody else. I'm going to maximize power and kill as many people as I can, and I don't care what I do.
So he's a sociopath made, not born in your
Yeah, I really think he was. He's a
Mhm.
sociopath made, not born. Every institution he was party to, abused him.
Mhm.
Every single one. His relationship with his mother was destroyed by the institution of slavery. He was taken up by the Jedi, and he thinks wronged by them because he wasn't given the responsibilities he thought he deserved based on his power.
Hmm.
Um, Family fails him because as soon as his mother gets freed, she gets murdered by the Sand People. The dark side fails him because it costs him Padme.
Hmm.
And in the long run, it costs him his children.
Right.
The relationship between him and Obi-Wan. I think part of the thing that drives Anakin Skywalker in the middle of his life and toward the end is he will never, ever be as good at Jedi as Obi-Wan.
Right.
He can't
Which they
be.
really established with the Obi-Wan series, which is one of the reasons I just loved it because I wanted to see that, you know.
Well, I mean, and that's the whole thing. I mean, that's the psychology behind him. He's the chosen one. He's the one that
Mhm.
needs to be the most powerful. He's the one whose morality should be the example. He should be the leader, and he's just not.
Yeah.
And that's just, when we talked about this when we talked about fight scenes. That's one of my favorite fight scenes of all time because it is absolutely clear at the end of that.
And we're talking about the one in Obi-Wan, just to be
The one,
clear,
that's right, the one in
not the one
Obi-Wan.
from Revenge of the Sith with the I've got the high ground. No,
No, no, no,
not
no,
that.
no.
Just wanted to make sure everyone understood
Yeah. Well,
that you weren't being ridiculous.
and the fact that he got his butt kicked on that lava planet is what drives him to the confrontation in the TV show Obi-Wan.
With the real fight. Yes.
And now it's arguable Darth Vader is at his maximum power. And in that fight, Obi-Wan is half buried in the ground and still gets out and still kicks Darth Vader's ass.
Yeah. That's so satisfying. I love that.
It was not just satisfying. For me, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, no wonder after that, Anakin goes on a tear and kills and murders and plots and schemes and is just a horrible, horrible person. Once he realizes he cannot be as good as Obi-Wan, he just goes full tilt villain.
Hmm.
And it comes from this place of frustration and anger and hatred and all those things that Obi-Wan, I mean, that Yoda says lead to the dark side.
Yeah.
But that's the real heart of that character is his relationship with Obi-Wan because of his sociopathic tendencies, he cannot ever see that Obi-Wan is better than him.
Yeah. Every
Can't
time.
see it.
Even when he beats Obi-Wan, it's because Obi-Wan wanted him to. It
Yeah,
was time.
Obi-Wan puts down his sword and says, "All
Yep.
right, we've
Yep.
got to fix this." Well, he has to come to his redemption, and that's not going to happen if I'm around
Yeah.
because it'll continue. So this is the thing. That relationship is the central relationship in the movie. It's not It's not Anakin and Padme. It's not just in that whole saga.
In the
It's that
universe.
relation.
In the
Yeah,
whole
it's
universe,
the
it's the
relationship. It's the
relationship.
relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin that drives Anakin to every bad thing he does.
I think you're
And
right. I think in the whole Star Trek universe,
Star Wars.
that Star Wars universe, sorry,
It's okay.
that's the fundamental relationship.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's between Obi-Wan and Anakin,
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan is slammed and slammed and slammed and slammed and slammed, and it reflects failure on Obi-Wan's part too. He was unable to show Anakin why what Anakin wanted to do was the wrong thing.
Well, and he's full of failure in the series.
Yeah,
And he
Obi-Wan
really comes
failed.
to comes to himself in a way he never has before when he has that final confrontation or that second to final confrontation.
Yeah, and he realizes this is the way things are going to have to be.
Yeah.
I can't convince him. I can't change his mind. I can't do that.
Hmm.
And then when Luke comes along, I think Obi-Wan realizes, well, I've got to help Luke because it's the only way to save Anakin.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do it is for him to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the fundamental dynamic that runs the whole damn show. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. No,
And
I think,
a
yeah.
lot of people will not say that. They'll argue it's all about Anakin. Yeah, it is, but it's only about Anakin in relation to Obi-Wan.
I think you're right. I
So,
100% think you're right. I mean, obviously, the universe has gone way off different directions, but if you stepped back and you were like, what is the most fundamental relationship? And it's not a majority now, it's a plurality relationship, and you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
It's going to be Anakin and Obi-Wan.
I mean, if Anakin had succeeded, I mean, if Obi-Wan had succeeded, Anakin would have been this incredible force driving for good in the universe.
Yeah.
But he couldn't do it, no matter how hard he tried. So there's this futility and frustration on both sides.
It's also the relationship that unites the two sort of arms of Star Wars, the movies and the universe of the TV series is, which are pretty different in a lot of ways,
They are.
but
They
that
are.
relationship ties them together, and
Yeah.
it's a big one. Yeah,
It's the fundamental story is the fundamental story of Star Wars is between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
cool. Well, I'm glad we figured that out. That's excellent.
Nobody's going to believe us, but it's true.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, I
I'm going to
have.
go.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Oh, it's
I've just
you.
got.
Right. It's your turn. Duh.
No. I brought up Anakin.
Okay, well, I've got three left I want to mention.
I've got two. So
I'm going to start with the one that I'm least excited about,
yeah,
but is probably one is probably the more significant one of the three I have left. It's just
right.
personal taste puts it at number three, and that's Frank Underwood. The
Oh
U.S.
yeah,
version of Frank of House of Cards, Kevin
yes,
Spacey. Oh my God, that is a good sociopath.
yeah. And it turns out it was kind of typecasting for Kevin Spacey.
Well, in a sense, this is true. But if you haven't seen this, I haven't seen the British version, but the U.S. version, it kind of fizzles after the first couple seasons, and
Yeah,
that's when the ratings started dropping, and it sort of fizzled for everybody. But
after
oh
he
my
put
God, what a sociopath!
after he after he pushes that redhead lady uh, under the subway train, it's
That
all
was good.
downhill.
That was good. Well, I think the next season was really good after that.
Yeah,
But I think the season following that it started getting tired. But yes, the fourth wall breaking Frank Underwood, pure Machiavellian sociopathy
yeah.
and politics, pure politics, moving in the world of politics, which so many people consider to be sociopathic by nature, which I don't think is fair at
No,
all.
well,
But I used to work in politics, but it sort of grabs onto that concept that's out there that this
it's
is
a
nothing but a
stereotype.
bunch of
Yeah.
sociopaths and makes the ultimate political sociopath, the ultimate Machiavellian political sociopath.
Well, and saying that Machiavelli is sociopathic is a not a fair reading of Machiavelli.
No,
Machiavelli wasn't for the absolute use of the ends justify the means. And
that's
the one
right. That's right. And that's
the
why I didn't say Machiavellian. I said
yeah, right.
Machiavellian sociopath. I was very careful to put those two terms together
Yeah.
because just saying Machiavellian,
No,
does not
Machiavelli
mean
was as
sociopath
dead
and
set.
sells Machiavelli short.
Yeah. It's that's the way people perceive of Machiavelli. But Machiavelli, when asked the question, is it better to be loved or feared? The answer is it's better to be both.
Mm,
And the thing is, for a prince to be both, you have to have empathy. You have to try to understand how your subjects or your opponents or your rivals are all thinking.
Right, right. I mean, the idea of taking the principles of Machiavelli and putting them into a sociopath works, but
Yeah,
it does. But to say that Machiavelli was inherently sociopathic is really misses the point badly.
yeah, it does. It does. And people, I mean, this is like people talk about survival of the fittest.
Hmm.
People don't understand natural selection. They think it means one thing. It doesn't mean that. You talk about Darwinism as a political philosophy. Darwinism as a political philosophy fundamentally contradicts natural selection.
Well, I would argue that it doesn't work. It's an incredible oversimplification. But what specifically do you mean? Because I'm not quite as sure how
What I
to
mean
address
is
that.
this, is that survival of the fittest doesn't mean the strongest, the best, the smartest is who survives.
Right.
In evolution, there is only one, in the scientific theory of evolution, there is only one measure of success, reproduction.
Right. Right. Social Darwinism holds very little in common with Darwinism.
It has nothing to do with it. It's
Yeah.
it's a bastardization of something which is incredibly useful in scientific method, in scientific inquiry, and kind of puts it up as a model for how politicians should behave. And it does not work that way. Machiavelli is a
No,
better example of why politics is the way it is than stupid social Darwinism.
absolutely. And under the social Darwinism definition of Darwinism, an ant would be a massive failure, but ants are more successful than, most species out there.
Yes,
Um,
if ants were the size of humans, there would be no humans.
well, yeah, but if an ant was off on its own,
You're right.
survival of
Right.
the fittest, it's not fit enough to survive on its own. It's part of
No.
it's species directive, not individual directive.
Right, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I think is hilarious about libertarians. They're the worst at this whole thing about social Darwinism.
Oh, they're so stupid.
Libertarians live in a fantasy world.
They do, and a really simplistic one, a one that they should be embarrassed by because it's
Yeah.
so simplistic.
Well, when things are complicated and things are difficult and things are convoluted, people, I mean, it's built into your brain to find shortcuts.
Hmm.
And that's all they're doing.
That's all they're doing. That's
Is
all
they're
they're
looking
doing.
for shortcuts, and it is so naive. The real world is incredibly interdependent.
And incredibly complicated.
Yeah, it's
The
no,
in the
it's
real world is so often about so much of actual life is about making the square peg fit into the round hole. You know,
yes.
it's not so neat and simple as libertarians
And
desperately
the
want to believe it
and
is.
the thing that really cheeses me about libertarians is they think they're the legacy of the founders.
They do.
And I always want to tell them when they spout up with this thing, well, taxation is theft. And the founders believe that. I'm like, oh, really? Well, so let's just look at that practically. If the founders believed that taxation was theft, why would they have given both the state and the federal government in the Constitution the power to tax?
Yeah, really.
What paying your taxes is in the Constitution and in the philosophy behind the Constitution is part of the social contract. You have to give up some of your money so the government can protect your property. Because if you don't do that, your property will never be protected.
Yeah.
It's the autonomy authority paradox. And sitting here telling me the founding fathers wouldn't believe in taxes, wrong.
We beat up on libertarians a lot, don't we? That's hilarious.
Well, it would be interesting if there was any grounding in reality. It's the same thing with the Austrian School of Economics.
Which, yeah,
There
speaking of
is
libertarians, yeah.
there is no empirical evidence that just letting people be free is what creates a giant economy.
No.
The thing that creates a giant economy is finding that line between liberty and government regulation.
Absolutely.
And
Obviously. I mean, we've seen this over and over again.
well, the only economies of scale, global scale, have been mixed economies.
Hmm.
That's it. That's the only thing that works. And so this makes me crazy when people talk about um, free market capitalism. I say, okay, so uh, you believe in pedophilia, right? No, 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 no. We shouldn't have pedophilia. What about the free market?
Yeah, really.
We should have slavery, right? All drugs should be legal.
Well, some of them would say that, but that's a different story.
But anyway, we've kind of gotten off the topic. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we
yeah,
love to beat up on
Frank
libertarians
Underwood
on
is a
this show.
great example of being completely sociopathic. The end justifies the means. I don't care what happens to anybody but me. There is no method which is not acceptable. There is no set of uh, norms, institutions, laws which I have to follow. I'm going to do everything I can to max out my benefit for society. I mean, against society. And I'm not going to have any meaningful relationships. None of it matters. Just
Yeah.
me getting what I want matters. All right, let's talk about another one. And the question is I think this is a sociopath who was made, and I don't think that anybody else in these circumstances would really behave any other way. And that's Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen.
Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen, because that's really interesting because a lot of people would say Ozymandias. Um, but I think you're right. I think you're right. I think Ozymandias doesn't work because there is an ethic he's going for. It's like we all have to come together, and the means to that end doesn't matter. And it looks sociopathic, but there's still an end that has an ethic to it. But you're right.
The pure sociopath is Dr. Manhattan,
The
and it's
pure
because
sociopath is Dr. Manhattan.
he's no longer human.
Hmm.
I mean, the thing is, Rorschach is right.
Yeah.
Rorschach, bad guy, completely morally right in Watchmen. That has to be let out. We have to
Mhm.
let people know that this was set up. We have to let people know that Ozymandias is a crazy person.
Yeah.
But what does Manhattan do? Nope, gotta kill him. Bang. Doesn't think, doesn't worry about what the consequences are because he can control time and space. Just kills him instantly.
Yeah.
Barely even goes him get a word in edgewise. Why? Who cares? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he's
Although he
made
does do it to that end, he does do it to the end of essentially supporting Ozymandias's goal, but it almost feels like a last, even that feels like an almost last gasp of humanity.
yeah, well, of course, Rorschach in the end has the last laugh because he's mailed all that shit to a reporter.
Right.
But but he's the real sociopath, and it's not his fault because there's nothing he can't control. He's no longer human.
Yeah.
And Karl Marx was right about one thing. Existence is all about struggle.
Yeah. Well, Karl
And
Marx is right about several things, but that's a
if you're
different.
not struggling, you're not human.
Right. That's
And
very
Dr.
Star Trek
Manhattan,
too. That's very Star Trek.
yeah, and Dr. Manhattan was not human.
Hmm. Yep.
No, he's
Gone.
no longer human. He doesn't need to take in he doesn't need to take humans in consideration. And when you look at him from the fact that he is, started out as a human, he's totally sociopathic.
Yeah.
He has no interests. It's the old God as clockmaker.
Yeah.
This is what makes me crazy when people say that the country was founded on religious principles.
Hmm.
The hell it was. Thomas
Right.
Jefferson, um, Ben Franklin, Thomas Paine, they all looked at God as a clockmaker. He built the clock, he wound it up, and now he's busy doing other things
Hmm.
as it unwinds. And that's who Dr. Manhattan is. He is the
Yeah.
disinterested God because why would I worry about what humans are doing? They don't have anything to do with me.
The only reason you could say that he got involved enough to kill Rorschach was that he there was still a sense of order that appealed to him. That it wasn't necessarily about, bringing people together, of, completing Ozymandias's vision, just incidentally, but the sense of order to it, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, this is getting me thinking a lot about that. I think after having this conversation, I want to reread Watchmen. It's just such a rich piece, and there's a lot to
Well,
think
and the
about
thing
there.
is, okay, look, the movie is so it's a blindfolded sketch of the comic books.
Yeah,
The comic books are incredibly intricate and complex and subtle that the movie's no comparison.
yeah.
But they in the movie they still managed to get across the essential point. And did you watch the HBO series?
I haven't watched it all, because I'm waiting for my wife to finally read.
The
Because I
comics.
started watching it with my wife, right?
Yeah.
And I was finding myself, even though I didn't think it was necessary to know everything, I still found myself constantly explaining things to her. And I thought, enough of this. She needs to read it. And I'm on her to
Yeah.
read it. I'm going to get back on her tonight to read it so I can watch. I think I watched the first three episodes, and my kid just rewatched it recently and said, this series is awesome. You've got,
It's amazing.
yeah,
It's amazing. And wait till you see the conclusion of it. It is fabulous. And the thing is, it's too bad that the creator, Richard, what's his face, he hates it. Alan
well,
Moore, I mean.
you don't mean Alan Moore, the
I do
creator.
mean Alan Moore, but he hates everything.
Yeah,
He hates his own work now.
yeah, he's crazy.
And I'm like, okay, dude, you're just the stereotype of the academic loon. Um, one of the most creative guys out there
Yeah,
possible. And it's kind of funny because it's so linked to this Margaret Thatcher, anti-Margaret Thatcher punk movement in Britain. It's not funny. I mean, that's really his background is the 80s and Margaret Thatcher and living in Britain in that period of time.
yeah,
Just a masterwork. But the series so much better than the movie. It really captures exactly the kind of thing you're thinking of. And sometimes it's hard to watch. Sometimes there's some disturbing things on that, but man, it is so good. So good. And what I love about that and then the HBO series Lovecraft Country
hmm
was the origin of both of those things takes place in the Black Wall Street Massacre in Tulsa. And to use that as a fundamental driving point for your story, that's just genius in both cases. Just genius. Anyway, so yeah, I think Dr. Manhattan, people don't realize that is he's no longer tied to the human race. So why do you have to worry about it?
yeah, yeah,
He's literally a god. I mean, he experiences time, past, present, and future all simultaneously.
yeah.
So, did you see the scene where the Regina Hall character and or I guess is it Regina Hall or Regina King? I get them mixed up.
I can't remember.
The main female character and Dr. Manhattan meet.
No, no,
Oh,
stop right there.
I won't spoil that,
Yeah, don't spoil that. Stop right there.
but it really explains very well what it would be like to see past, present, and future all simultaneously. It's great.
All right. All right.
But
I've got to watch the rest of this series. I am officially going to start harassing my wife to finish Watchmen so I can get to it.
well, apologize on my behalf for that.
I will.
I'll talk about one more and then you can finish it up.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple more.
Oh, and
Um,
this guy is terrible, 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 terrible. Oh, I hate this guy so much. I just freaking hate him. And there's only one character who's worse in this show, and people are going to hate me for saying it, but he is. The one I'm going to talk about now is Warren Mears from Buffy.
Warren. It's true. He's a good one. He's a good example. It
He
never would have
is
occurred to me, but he's
straight
a
up
perfect example. He
sociopath.
doesn't kill for the sake of killing. This is just, he's just
It-
does his thing.
People are things to
Hmm.
play games with. That's all they are.
Yeah.
His friends, he doesn't care. He'll kill them. He'll abandon them. Doesn't matter. Buffy, I don't care. I'll kill her. Oh, we're going to team up with a vampire? Okay, we'll do that. He's terrible. He's a terrible human being. And in many ways, even though it really perverts Willow, he deserves everything he gets in that show.
Hmm.
I mean, first of all, he killed Tara. Tara never hurt anybody.
Right.
I mean,
I not intentionally, but still
huh.
through
See,
his action.
I would argue intentionally. He came there to kill somebody,
You there to kill somebody, right?
and so it didn't matter if it was Buffy or anybody. He came there to kill somebody, and he didn't kill just one person. Uh, he also killed Buffy because remember Willow revives her,
Oh, right.
and he kills he kills Willow, not physically,
But destroys her as a.
destroys her innocence completely. She can no longer be the person she was.
Mhm.
It's impossible. And in fact, after that, she starts, when she gets overpowered, she starts sucking the life force out of anybody around her indiscriminately.
Mhm.
And Warren did all of that, all of that. He killed Buffy, he killed Tara, he killed Willow. He killed all three of them.
Mm.
And he did it. He didn't do it for any purpose. There was no greater purpose in mind here. He was just an agent of chaos. He was like the Joker. He just wanted to see the world burn, and he wanted to be the person who did it.
He wasn't even a good Joker though, because Joker, it was a thing. It was like his real purpose was, I'm going to promote chaos. But Warren was really just about himself, which I think
Yeah.
makes him a much purer example than Joker, who I thought about including. But Joker takes so much joy in the chaos. I don't think Warren gave a shit about anything.
No, Warren
Yeah.
didn't care about
I
anybody.
think he's a much purer sociopath than Joker.
And he is so evil. God, he's evil. Now comes the controversial part about that. And I really hate this. God, I hate this crap. I want to talk about who's better for Buffy, Spike, or Angel. And I think I'm on the right side because Sarah Michelle Gellar agrees with me. Um, but there is a worship of Spike as the absolute best person for Buffy to be with.
Hmm.
And I call BS. And people say, oh, well, he has a soul and he purposely went out there and got the soul so he could be with Buffy. One, as we see when Angelus gets revived, when he gets his soul back, he's terrible. Having a soul does not make you good.
Right.
Two, Spike would have never, ever pursued Buffy as a romantic interest without the chip.
Right.
If there is no chip, there is no way for him to be on the good side to be on Buffy's side. It's impossible. Spike is a freaking sociopath before the
Yeah.
chip.
Yeah.
Before the
There's
chip. And
one.
not only that, he's worse than Warren.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
Well, there's
lot
something
worse
about
than,
being a vampire that makes you a sociopath, right? Because you're just this.
yes. But
Yeah.
the other part is this. He's the worst because what's his favorite thing to do?
Oh,
Kill slayers.
that's what I thought you were going to say. I almost said that, but
Spike's reason for existence is to kill slayers. He is the antithesis of the good guy,
hmm.
the literal antithesis. The guy who goes out and bags the chosen one, the one girl in all the world who can fight the vampires and the demons and the evil. Spike is the worst guy possible for her because he is the fundamental symbol of misogyny. He's the
Yeah.
fundamental symbol of the patriarchy.
There is one thing
Yeah.
that gives Spike a sort of leg up over Angel, and
I
generally
know what it's
over
good.
the
I know what
game.
you're going to say.
Um, it's not the darkness. They always made the, oh, he's dark, he understands dark, she's dark, she understands dark. Yeah, 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 whatever. Angel can get dark, right? He was an evil vampire for years.
Yes.
It's just, part of that may be the performance that the brooding was just brooding and didn't feel
Yeah.
a whole lot deeper than that. But the one thing that would arguably make a connection is that Spike was as screwed up as Buffy was. That's the only bit thread there that I think is a justifiable argument to be make is that they were just both so totally fucked up.
I didn't know. I did not anticipate that being what you said.
Oh,
I thought it would be because Spike and Drusilla have a relationship.
oh
So
no, I was thinking about the Spike and Buffy versus Angel and Buffy.
yeah. But
Yeah,
but this whole thing about, oh, he went to get a soul. No, without that chip, he's either dust or Buffy's dead. And
yeah,
that's it. That's it. So if you take away the chip, there's no Buffy and Spike.
right.
There can't be.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Spike is just a fuck up. It
Yeah.
works if you decide at the end of the day Buffy is just a fuck up too. But
Yeah.
she's more than just a fuck up. So it's not enough, you know?
Yeah. But no, it's Spike, it's Angel and Buffy. I mean, it's just Angel and Buffy all the way. And people will say, oh, but that 240-year difference. Yeah, it's a fictional character. It doesn't reflect reality. He's a vampire. So I have a problem with people saying, oh, but there the age difference there. Yeah, okay.
You just
It's
don't
not
think about that. It's a little creepy. You just don't think about it.
it's just not reality. We're not talking about reality. We're talking
Right.
about fantasy here. And there's just this kind of this just kind of complete glossing over about who Spike was before the chip. So,
Yeah.
oh no, that's all in the past. No, he's a terrible uh self-centered murderer. And when he
Well,
doesn't when he doesn't get what he wants, like when Drusilla doesn't go back to him, uh he basically says, well, screw that. I'm just going to go back to Sunnydale and cause some more trouble. So I don't know. I just think people forget who Spike is.
yeah.
And yeah, it's all writing convention. The chip is there to make sure that he can uh, become sympathetic now that he can't hurt people. He can see what people go through.
Right.
But that's a writing convention.
It
And
is
and,
totally to
and in
create.
fact, that reinforces my argument that without the chip, he's not, doesn't love Buffy. He's obsessed with her. Without the chip, it's pure, unhealthy, death-seeking, death-wishing uh, chaos.
Yes. Yes. And full props to that episode that I still hate that shows us that, which we won't talk about. Um, it does make that point. It's just a tricky point to make given everything they've done up to that point.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, totally. You're right.
but yeah, I mean, Spike before the chip is the definition of sociopathy and the evil which can come from it, bar none. And the chip is just a writing convention. It's just a plot point. And without the chip, it's either we move on to a new Slayer
Hmm.
or Spike's a pile of dust.
Right.
So people hate me for that. I get all kinds of crap on Facebook pages, but it's fact. Spike was the zenith, the most anti-Slayer, the most anti-human, the biggest symbol of the patriarchy. And by the way, that's also Warren's role in this. Warren is an absolute, I mean, Warren is incel culture defined.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Warren would
Totally.
Warren would have been an incredible Trump supporter.
Absolutely. Yeah, perfectly so. There, yeah, absolutely.
He's just oh he's just
Prototypical incel. That's a really good way to think of him. Yeah.
yeah. Blah. And even though he had a relationship with Katrina, it was a purely uh physical relationship. She meant nothing to him.
At
Uh
best, it was physical.
yeah.
It was just, it was still just power. I just have power over you, and now you what? You're
And
taking my power away?
and he was such
Oh,
an incel that not even a robot that submitted to his every will was enough for him.
yeah.
He couldn't even make a connection with somebody whose sole purpose was to make him happy.
Yeah. That's, I can't wait to tell my wife that this was your number one. I think that's great.
Uh,
Yeah. Well,
Spike is
I'll give you one more. I
good.
actually have two left, and I'll just mention one
Sure.
real quick in a couple sentences, then make him into an honorable mention, and that's Todd Alquist from Breaking Bad, played by
Oh
Jesse
yeah.
Plemons. Oh my God, he was such a good sociopath. But okay, so putting him aside, my favorite movie sociopath is still Alonzo Harris from Training Day, played by Denzel Washington. Oh my God. He does. I mean, he won an Oscar for this and he deserved it
Yeah.
because he brought all that Denzel Washington charisma and he spoke the language of the movies too, because it wasn't just about the character, but it was about the medium.
Hmm.
You know, there's certain ways the good TV cop or the movie cop looks and the approach they have and what
Hmm.
they say and how they
Yeah.
go about their job and how they treat other people. And he just oozed that. He was, bringing Ethan Hawke's character, grooming him,
Yeah.
especially essentially to be another sociopath. But and everything he said you would be like, yeah, I get that. I understand. I understand that the system, is putting shackles around cops from doing the right job, doing their job. I
Yeah.
understand that sometimes you have to make compromises. I understand that the greater good is sometimes served by cutting some corners and making some morally questionable moves. And in the end, it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about him and his personal power and
Yep.
his ego and his control. And the way you're charmed into it. And like I say, brought along on these almost cliched TV and movie cop lines. And then you realize this guy isn't just full of shit. He is evil. He
Yeah.
is super evil.
Yeah.
And yeah, killing doesn't matter to him. You know, he throws off, well, Ethan Hawke's going to be a problem after all, so you guys just go kill him. I don't give a shit. I'm off to my next thing. So he's not taking any pleasure from murder. He's not even doing it himself.
Right.
He cares so little about it. He cares so little about even the idea of murder that he can't be bothered with it. He's got other things to do. He'll outsource it to somebody else. But it is so well done, and he
Yeah.
is so evil, and it's just pure sociopath. I love this movie. I love this character. It's one of my favoritely deserved Oscars. I'm so glad he got the appreciation for it
Well,
because no, it was great.
that's interesting that you bring that up because you are so dead set against Section 31 and what it means for Star Trek.
Yeah,
So, and that's essentially what the same message as Section 31.
that's
Hey, we don't
true.
like it, but we're in this situation where we have to do bad things to protect the thing that works.
Hmm.
Have you ever watched the YouTube channel Lore Reloaded?
No.
Oh, this guy drives me nuts. He has all these ridiculous takes on Star Trek. Like the most recent one I saw was um, Star Trek's biggest lie is that Starfleet doesn't work. He's saying, Starfleet is this way to civilize the galaxy and explore things and find science for science's sake and make relationships with new species and new worlds and all that stuff. He said basically it doesn't work. And I'm like, would you stop with the radical interpretations of Star Trek? That's some BS. That guy makes me crazy. And he does all these things like, oh, well, the Dominion War was really a failure on Star Trek's part. Okay. Anyway, you should go check it out sometime.
I
But
will.
yeah,
I will for sure.
so I wanted to point something out here. How many of these characters do we mention as women?
One.
Right. How often are women
Just
portrayed as
one.
sociopaths?
Not
Not very often.
very often.
Do you think that reflects reality?
Yep.
I think it does too. I think it
Yeah.
does. It totally does. It totally reflects reality.
Yep. Sad to say,
And
but yep.
it's terrible. It's terrible. This is one of those instances where this kind of genre fiction really reflects true life.
Yep.
Really, really does. Um,
I mean, I thought about mentioning Nicole Kidman's character from Malice, but nobody cared about that movie, so I didn't bother. So we'll
well, and
stick
and
with
the
just
other one
one.
is oh, what's the name of that movie? It's based on a story that happened in San Jose, California. I have to look this up now on Google. I have to look up her. It was one of her early films. Okay, let's see. What is it called? She plays a
Meanwhile, this
teacher
is
who seduces kids.
with you mean
To
with her
die
in it?
for.
That
To
was a
die
great
for.
movie.
To die for.
That was a great movie. I
It's
love
a
that movie.
brilliant movie, and she just leads those kids to their absolute ruin.
That was a great movie. I
And she
forgot
does,
all
based on a
about
true
that.
story, by the way.
Yeah, well, inspired by a true story, I
Yeah,
guess.
well, I was around kind of shortly after that happened. Um, uh, and let me just tell you, that woman in real life was incredibly manipulative. And she did it because she could. That's it.
Yeah.
And the movie really, I mean, she is incredibly evil in that movie.
Oh, I completely forgot about that movie,
Yeah.
just in my life in general. I'm so glad you reminded me of it. I love that
Yeah.
movie.
It's a great movie. And if you haven't seen it, put it at the top of your list. She really hadn't played a lot of interesting roles before that movie.
Yeah,
Nothing com
yeah, that's probably true. This is Gus Van Sant, right? Am I making
Yeah,
that up?
1995.
Okay.
And so, she had done a few things, but she wasn't a big name. This movie, people start paying attention to her. She would fit right in this discussion. So yeah,
She
the last
totally
one,
did. Good call. She fits right in.
she manipulates these kids and leads them to their absolute ruin in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
and,
I'm so
and she
glad you
does
brought
and she
that
does
back
it
up.
she does it for one reason: attention.
Yep. She likes the and
She
the
likes it.
attention from those subordinate, weaker, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and the big thing is this: is that she thinks everybody's weaker than she is.
that's true.
She thinks
That's true.
everybody's weaker than she is, and that's part of being a sociopath.
Mhm.
It's a lot more nuanced. I mean, sure, you've got people like Warren Mears, and you've got people like other examples that we've gone through that are straight up sociopaths. But once again, it's this thing where uh, the genre reflects the humanity, the reality, more than makes a lot of people comfortable with.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in a
Yes,
couple
thanks. We'll see
weeks.
you next time.
Our theme music is by Christopher Piatek.